You shouldn't be able to ride a bicycle across Utah's Great Salt Lake and not get wet. But that's unfortunately what University of Utah scientist Kevin Perry can do as he studies the lake's dried-out bottom, the water having dropped to its lowest level in recorded history in July, exposing 800 square miles of lake bed, an area larger than the Hawaiian island of Maui.
And this exposed lake bed, when the wind is strong and the lake bed is dry, it lifts dust off of this lake bed and pushes it into the surrounding communities.
And that is a big problem. The dust clouds are laced with calcium, sulfur, and arsenic, a naturally occurring element linked to cancer and birth defects. Parts of the exposed lake bed are also contaminated with residue from copper and silver mining.
If you breathe that dust over an extended period of time, like decades or longer, then it can lead to increases in different types of cancer, like lung cancer, bladder cancer, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and such.
For years, water from Utah's Great Salt Lake has been diverted for human consumption, industry, and agriculture. That, combined with a 2-decade drought exacerbated by climate change, has heightened concerns that ecological and economic disaster could await the nearly 2 million people living near its receding shores. Already, the lake's millions of birds are suffering as the disappearing lake robs them of nourishment lower on the food chain. Alvin Sihapanya, a researcher at the Great Salt Lake Institute at Westminster College, displays what's known as a microbialite, essentially a living rock that is critical to sustaining many bird populations.
So attached on them are these brine fly pupae, and birds would dive down in the water to eat these guys for a food source. As this water line recedes, more of these microbialites are exposed, and we'll no longer have green, healthy microbialites. But instead, what we have there is this white, grayed out structures that don't have life growing on them.
Salt Lake City also depends on the lake economically through tourism, explains Utah State Representative Tim Hawks.
It's about $1.5 to $2 billion worth of economic activity, 7,000 jobs spread over 5 counties. Those are all really important.
With public awareness and pressure to act growing, Utah Governor Spencer Cox signed into law 11 bills related to water conservation and policy in the last legislative session. Among them is a bill that set up a $40 million trust for the lake, with a quarter of it dedicated to habitat restoration. Good news, hopefully, for this newly hatched American coot chick.
On Wednesday, the United Kingdom inched closer to choosing who will succeed Boris Johnson as their leader.
Mordaunt, 67. Sunak, 88.
In the first round of votes, former Finance Minister Rishi Sunak won the biggest backing from lawmakers of the ruling Conservative Party. Sunak's resignation earlier this month helped trigger Johnson's eventual ouster. In the same vote Wednesday, replacement Nadhim Zahawi and former Foreign Minister Jeremy Hunt were knocked out of the running. Whoever wins will face a British economy grappling with rocketing inflation, high debt, and low growth, leaving Brits with the tightest squeeze on their finances in decades. The winner will also have to rebuild public trust, bruised by scandals involving Johnson.
I will be leaving soon with my head held high.
On Tuesday, Sunak offered himself up as a more honest would-be prime minister.
It is not credible to promise lots more spending and lower taxes. And whilst that may be politically inconvenient for me, it is also the truth. As is the fact that once we've gripped inflation, I will get the tax burden down. It is a question of when, not if.
But while Sunak might be the frontrunner among his colleagues, pollster YouGov surveyed nearly 900 Conservative Party members and found junior Trade Minister Penny Mordaunt, who placed second to Sunak on Wednesday, to be the odds-on favorite.
Low tax, small state, personal responsibility. We need to get back to that because we've got some really serious challenges ahead. And the British people are fed up. They're fed up with us not delivering. They're fed up with unfulfilled promises. And they're fed up with divisive politics.
6 remaining contenders will be whittled down to 2 in further ballots by next week. The UK's next Prime Minister will then be chosen by the 200,000 Conservative Party members in the country before being announced on September 5.
So there's been a nuclear attack. Don't ask me how or why, just know that the big one has hit, okay? So what do we do?
This public service announcement was recently released by New York City, offering a 3-step plan on how to survive a nuclear attack.
Your friends, your family, get inside.
And it's baffled some New Yorkers.
This message is a little alarming, quite frankly. There's so many other things going on to worry about.
I think there was definitely a justified reason for it, just as a precautionary measure more than anything else. I'm scared.
On Wednesday, city officials defended the decision to produce the animated ad. They explained there is no looming threat against New York. Mayor Eric Adams denied it was an alarmist move, saying he's a big believer in better safe than sorry.
This was right after the attacks in the Ukraine, and OEM took a very proactive step to say, let's be prepared. And it doesn't mean just a nuclear attack. It's any natural disaster. Pack a bag. Know where your medicines are located. These are just smart things to do.
In a letter to Reuters, the city's emergency management department said the goal of the campaign was to keep New Yorkers informed, adding there was no direct threat to the city, but, quote, we felt it was important that we address this topic.
If you were outside after the blast...
The video was released while tensions remain high between the West and Russia over the invasion of Ukraine. Russian officials have warned countries that oppose what Moscow calls its special military operation to avoid any actions that would risk nuclear war.
Don't forget to sign up for Notify NYC.
There were no firefighters here at my sister's house. Everything around it burnt down, all the porches. The neighbours and my husband managed to put the flames out around the house. We had no one else. The firefighters and the aircraft only got here now. It was very complicated. I think the state should help us more. We don't know how, but this situation, it's impossible.
It is scary when the fire comes. It's hard for someone to manage. It's awful if it reaches the house. You lose everything.
Guys, as a group, one time. Ryan. Guys, look, you're looking to the left. One big smile, sir. Little wave, Ryan. Ryan, right here, Ryan.
There's cuts and bruises and aches and pains and all that stuff, but no emotional scars, so that's good. And it was exciting. You know, I've always wanted to make an action film, so I wasn't. You know, when I finally got to do one, I wasn't going to complain.
Yeah. I mean, big action movies like this require a lot of physicality, and they can be exhausting, and you're gonna get injured a little bit, but that's what makes them great.
Get as a group. Can we start this way? Turn your body. No, right there. Ryan, Anna.
Awesome. They both, I adore them. I really admire them both. I look up to them, and they're also, they have great sense of humor. It's so much fun to be around them.